Hi, my name is Lulu. I am a compulsive overeater. I'm from Boston. Oh God, you already know that. How many times have I said that? Okay, I forget where I am sometimes. Okay, so we'll continue on with the promises. The 12 beautiful promises that are in this booklet called "The Promises of Sobriety" that I found on a table in Florida one year at an AA meeting, and I loved it. So it was like a booklet of like 20 pages, and I took a picture of every page. That was early in my recovery. So we're going through each one and talking about each of the promises coming true and how they've come true for Shalece and I, and as a result of putting the food down and doing the work. This one is called "Coping Becomes Easier." Although our recovery program is simple, it is not always easy. The 10th step addresses this. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. Experience teaches us to stop complicating everything. We are told if it works, don't fix it. As drinkers, life was never easy or unhurried. In recovery, we grow emotionally through countless lessons that are a joy to experience and live the philosophy of easy does it or one day at a time. Time is a great teacher, and each approach to life that we master stays with us forever. Like riding a bicycle, recovery may be puzzling at first, but once we learn, we will never forget. The 10th step guarantees that our sobriety continues and strengthens. That as our sobriety continues and strengthens, we will grow spiritually. An intuitive know-how indicates change, and change means progress. Even though change is constant, we will never reach perfection because humans never attain perfection. Yay, good to know. In early recovery, a major change we experience is our growing concern for other people. It is said all humans are born selfish, and addiction accentuates this trait. In sobriety, we begin to care about others. Changes come, sometimes slowly, often quickly, but always surely. Working the steps of recovery will be foundation for our intuition in solving problems. We can benefit from the advice others give us. We can replace old, useless ideas with workable ones. A large part of intuition involves faith. We experience an awareness of reality, and our thought process becomes more mature. We instinctively begin to do the right thing at the right time. That's good stuff. Good stuff. My experience with coping becomes easier. So we're told, like, if it works, don't fix it. So stop complicating everything. The first thing I had to stop complicating was my food plan. I mean, it's about as uncomplicated as can be. It's black and white. Just do it. Doesn't need fixing, but I can complicate it if I want to see where I don't fit in, or how am I going to eat at this wedding, and how am I going to have fun? How am I going to be social? And I've got all this stuff going on in my head. I'm complicating something that's easy. So it used to baffle me. It was like, I know how to handle situations which used to baffle me. Starts with the food. And then, like it says, time is a great teacher. We need time in this program. And the lessons I learn in here, sometimes I need to learn them a dozen times before I actually feel it, like in my bones, like I feel like that it's me. I will be baffled by something, and I'll handle it incorrectly, and then I'll be twisted up about it, and I will bring it to step 10, and I'll bring it to my sponsor, and I will see how I was just complicating something. I was complicating somebody else's life. That's like none of my business, right? Or thinking that I was going to be truly affected by this person because they do this or they don't do that or whatever. It's like it used to baffle me. Like people used to baffle me. I used to be like, how can they not get it? Like, how do you, like, this is not rocket science. Like, be nice, or don't do, or stop doing this, and stop treating people like that. And here I am telling people what to do. Like, I can stop treating people like that, you know? So I always say, like, whenever something's baffling me about somebody else, I can just go look in the mirror, because that's my work right there, you know. But you know, so then I'll do it again. The same, maybe not the exact same thing, but something of that nature. And I just keep seeing my same, you know, character defect, or my same shortcoming coming up and coming up. And then just, it's just amazing. Like, eventually a step 10 will hit you right in the face, like a, I was going to say like a pie, but I shouldn't say that. Just right in the face, like a big punch in the nose. And it's just like, oh. And then, you know, like, I have a sponsee right now that's working on some deep deep rooted fear. And this person is now doing step 10. Just, I said, do a step 10 every day. Do a step 10 every day. Doing a step 10 every day. But 2 days later, this person's like, I'm not, I don't feel it yet. Oh, you know something? I said, I'm kind of thinking, I'm really hopeful. Let's see, what's today? Today is the end of June. I'm kind of thinking, if you do them every day, I think maybe by August, you will get hit with that one line in one step 10 that you didn't write 25 step 10s ago. But it came to you here. It came to you here. And you have to wait for it, because it's a grand prize. And you don't just get it for doing a couple of writing things and write 2 paragraphs and emailing them to me. This is deep stuff. And where it says, like, you know, it may seem like kind of like riding a bike, you know, once you learn. So it's kind of like, this person needs to learn about this particular thing, revisit it. And this, now that would be his area. My area is nothing like that. I don't experience that at all, but I totally relate to it, because I relate to being twisted up about things. And I have my own areas where I tend to get things that still baffle me. But for the most part, see, it doesn't say, it's, the name of this is Coping Becomes Easier. It doesn't say you won't have anything that you have to cope with, you know, because life is like, I need to cope with life. Life is not, there's not, everything isn't pleasant, but I don't have to complicate everything. I love that I benefit from the advice of others. I can replace my old useless ideas with workable ones. This is like this toolbox that I have today on handling situations that used to baffle me, and this intuition, because it says we intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. That intuitively is when we bring our spirituality in. And where it says mature, where it say that, oh, we experience an awareness of reality. Reality is just God, truth, and our thought process becomes more mature. See, it's not like we went from dumb to smart. You know, it's not like the whole time I'm not getting life, I'm like stupid. I'm not getting more intelligent in this program. I'm getting more spiritually mature. When I have a new light bulb come on, that means that I am spiritually mature. Doesn't mean that, like, oh my God, like, you know, I'm such a good little student, you know. I'm not a student, I'm a steward. And that's what this program teaches me. And it talked all about here. It's like where it says, all humans are born selfish, and addiction accentuates this trait. In sobriety, in abstinence, I begin to care about others. As soon as I take that focus off of me, put it on others, and I can, just having that consideration be like really present, just the consideration, instead of it being all about what I need you to stop doing, what I need you to, you know, this situation, that shouldn't happen. You shouldn't die. You were too young to die. How that wasn't fair. and and everything. Life is not fair, you know. All these situations. Life is just a series of situations. I love this word situations because some people call them problems. I like to call them situations. Like life is just a series of situations, and like and we're presented with situations to either be baffled by them or to intuitively know how to handle them in a different, healthier way, especially when I take God along with me. Then it's more about getting out of myself. That's how I handle situations. That's how I cope easier. When I'm able to understand other people a little bit better, I can have that present in my thought process instead of it all about me. Um, this is a promise. It says we instinctively begin to do the right thing at the right time. That's the blessing because we don't, sometimes and everything happens in stages, like these gifts come in little bits and pieces along the way. Instinctively, I begin to do the right thing. But then for another day, I instinctively begin to do the right thing at the right time because I might start to do the right thing, but maybe not at the right time. I might still have to clean up some stuff. I might need to do an amends because I did the right thing, but not at the right time. Because at the right time, I was maybe complaining or yelling at somebody or saying something that I wanted, that was objectionable, and then I need to come back, do my step 10s, make my amends. But when I begin to do the right thing at the right time, and what helps me do the right thing at the right time is one of the biggest gifts I got in this program, and it's the pause button. Pause when agitated and ask God for the next right thought or action. I'm quoting the big book. This isn't me. Just pause when agitated. It's just suggested in the big book. Pause when agitated. And when you just hit that pause button, take a chill pill, and just kind of think it through, more and more you can do the right thing at the right time. And it just happens more and more. And it's not perfect. And I loved that we read, even though change is constant, we will never reach perfection because humans never attain perfection. Now tell that to a perfectionist, right? Character defect of mine, perfectionism. Here I am, I have this goal that's unattainable. Now, if that isn't a mismanagement of time, what is? My life is unmanageable. Step one tells me I'm powerless over food and my life is unmanageable. There's an example, me trying to like everything has to be perfect or it's not good enough. That's a total mismanagement of my life, of my time, my expectations of others. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I am so grateful for this promise. I feel this promise has come true for me. Like it says, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but always surely. You just got to keep working your ass off. That's what I'm saying. Coping becomes easier. Next.
Oh my gosh, just a few thoughts. So good. So good. And I remember when I first actually experienced this promise in my life, and it actually came for me, some of it a little bit before step 9 even, because these are step 9 promises. But I started to experience intuitiveness almost immediately when I put the food down, because the food was so loud before. It was kind of masking that inner voice that can really guide and direct me. And so I remember actually going to and this had to do with the food, going to my grandfather's funeral, maybe 2 months. I had to fly across the country 2 months after I got abstinent, from Maine to Idaho for his funeral. And I knew that I needed to have my abstinent meals all ready. And so I did everything that I needed to do. And my sponsor was just like, just do the best that you can. Just do the best that you can. And I remember intuitively when I got to the funeral, like that, the food was still kind of talking to me then. I was just two months in. but I got to the luncheon after the funeral, and there was all sorts of things that were not on my food plan. But intuitively, I knew that I had my food, and I was going to eat it. And so that, situations that used to baffle me were, what should I eat? How much should I eat? How can I get it? So that, the food used to baffle me. But as Lulu said, this is kind of a progressive thing. Like, our disease is a progressive illness, but I also want to say that recovery is also progressive, that as I'm learning and growing spiritually and evolving, these promises get deeper and richer. And I say they're little to begin with, but I remember, like, I have sponsees send me little voice messages all the time with like little things that happened. Like, one of them was, she's like, I just got off a phone call with my mom that was full of landmines, like, that before would have, like, I would have been a big bomb and reacted to everything she said. But instead, I just shut up and I didn't say anything. And I just, and that one for me, like, and for me, that has been my experience as well. Just going through conversations with people that are close to me, that I just had one a few weeks ago with my husband, where this same issue came up that we've discussed several times over the last 18 years of our marriage. And it would have been a point of conflict for us. And I would have been off the rails, angry and upset. And intuitively, I just sat and I just listened to what my husband had to say. And there was literally no judgment coming from me. I felt nothing but love and compassion and understanding. That is a freaking miracle. That is a miracle, because before, again, it would have been, what does this mean about me? And he needs to do this, and he needs to change this, and he's not doing this right, and I'm not doing this right. And there'd be all these stories going on. But instead, I could just listen. And oh my gosh, did that change the direction and the trajectory of the way the conversation went, the way that the situation that we were working through at the time went. It was, miraculous. And I love this thought of life being just a series of situations. Some of them come at us from other people. We don't choose those situations. Some of those situations we do choose. But with God, if I'm walking hand in hand with God, I don't need to fear any situation, because I know that if something is baffling me, it's okay. There is a way to look at it and come to understand it. And in fact, it may be something to not dread, but be curious about and be excited about. I've recently been invited to take part in the women's organization at my church. 3.5 years ago, I wasn't even sure I wanted to be a member of this church anymore, until I worked through many, many, many situations that had come up. I did my step work, and half of it was centered around my relationship with my church. And it's all but been removed. Again, the judgment is just gone. And so as I was invited to take part of this leadership and to be of service and specifically to guide the other women in our church to a closer relationship with God, I'm baffled that there was nothing baffling about it. Like a freaking miracle again, like, no judgment. Like, it doesn't mean anything. I am a servant, and I can take what I've learned in this program and apply it to anything in my life. That any situation that comes up, I don't need to be afraid to face anything that comes my way, or to choose not to face it. I could very easily have said, no, thank you. No, thank you so much, but I think I'll pass. But today I'm choosing to take take the invitation and to be curious about what will come as a result of taking that. So it's, you know, coping with life becomes easier when I'm working this program and I understand life a little bit better, and I understand situations a little bit better, and I really see that there's just nothing to fear. Like there's just really nothing to fear. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. Keep going. If you're at the very, very beginning, and this, even just either coming into the program, you're not out of the food yet, and you haven't experienced the freedom of that yet, give that a shot. That'll baffle the heck out of you. Like, what? I don't have cravings? What? I can go between meals and not be obsessed about food. What? That's amazing. So try that first, and then dip your toes in. Dip your toes in. Just do it. It's a little bit at a time. It's just a one step and one foot in front of the other kind of deal. So we just invite you to just partake of this promise, partake of all of these promises. Do the freaking work. Do it. Just do it, like Nike says. Lulu, is there anything you want to add?
Yes. I thought about how, a lot of times I know where I've spiritually matured is usually not something that I identify myself, but it's usually something that I hear from somebody else about me that I'm just like, are they talking about me? Did somebody actually refer to me as Zen? Like, how did that ever happen in my life? Like, usually it's like, oh, here comes Lulu. She's going to be dancing on the tables pretty soon, and like standing at the buffet, And, but, so it's when I hear something like that, I don't feel complimented. I feel it's my little message to me to show me. And what I see here with what you just shared, Shalece, is that you were invited by to um, to to work and inspire a congregation of women to develop a closer relationship with God. I I can't think of a gosh darn thing that's about as loud and clear as that you are in a space where that attraction, not promotion, the attraction, not there's an attraction, there's a draw. They want they're not looking for a warm body to get up there and just talk, and that it can be anybody. It's that it's that that feel that you get in your presence. And I know what they're talking about, and I know why they asked you. And I don't know if you know why they asked you, but it's definitely if that happened to me, that would be a marker. That would be a marker for me. I would be like high-fiving with God. I'd be like, we did it. We did it. Look at me. Woohoo. And it's all about, like you said, it's all about the service. It's not about, look at me, how great am I? I'm going to be at the podium and everyone's going to think I'm fabulous. It's like, wow, they want to hear what they want these women to hear my heart so that more people can feel like me. That's God's work, and that's beautiful. And do you have anything more to say about that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, because one of my greatest defects, one of the repeat offenders, I guess, that that comes is people pleasing. And so, if somebody asked me to do something, the previous Shalece, the maybe not the better version of myself, would have immediately said yes, whether it was a good thing for me to do or not. And again, it's baffling to me to be able to have been invited to do this thing and then to have hit that pause button and said, I need some time to really think about and consider this, because I wanted to sit back and look at my motives for doing it. And that was one of them. Is like, man, that stroke of the ego sure feels good, but I ain't going to do it for that. I ain't going to do that for if this is God's will, then I'll do it. If it ain't God's will, I ain't going to do it. And I don't care what anybody thinks or says or does. If I said no, I know that I would be just as valuable to God. I know that I would be just as pleasing to God if I said no. And in fact, I believe, when I take on too much, that it isn't pleasing. It isn't pleasing. And I've done that before. And I'll probably do it again. And then God will help correct me, and a step 10 will come up and I'll need to pause and step back. But again, just the baffling, it's just, this program is just amazing. I just can't believe it. Every turn, every corner.
Yeah. And it's not even about like whether you're going to do it or not, because there's all different ways to serve, and we get to, the opportunities just present themselves when you have the heart of a servant. Opportunity, they're everywhere. Just go walk out your front door. There's get in line at CVS. There's people to help. There's people to smile at. There's always service to be done. So it's not like you needed to say yes to that. The fact that you were asked, in my opinion, it was just a God thing, a huge God thing, And one more thing I wanted to say about situations that baffle us. I used to be so impatient for a situation to unfold and dissolve and become the past. Very impatient, because I wanted it now. I wanted it now. Like, I want to figure this out now, because how can I spend another minute thinking about this situation? And I realized that that was part of why everything baffled me, was because I was looking for things to just boom, gone. And then somebody pointed out, like, life is really just a series of situations. So like, you can't wait to get this one off your plate, but guess what? Once that's off the plate, guess what? There's the next one. So it's like, don't be in such a rush to get this one off the plate. There's just going to be another one around the corner, because life is just a series of situations. You can call them problems. You can call them challenges. You can I just call them situations, whether it's, whether I have my, my lawnmower breaks or somebody dies. It's a situation. It's a situation. I don't want to be baffled by either one, and sometimes when it involves my character, my shortcomings and my character defects, um, I need to sit with this situation, and then I need to take the time, and I need to go back and forth with my sponsor on it. That might take 2 or 3 days. Oh my God, to just have the time and space to allow myself the space to properly unravel it. Because what was baffling was that it was going to be unraveled in 20 minutes. That's why it was baffling, because it was unrealistic. I needed the time and just the precious, and I needed to bring God into it. And I needed to have a God present in my life to really help unravel. And anyway, that's what I got for this one. You all set, girl?
Yes, Lulu, thank you so much.